Freya is the Nordic goddess of beauty, fertility, lust, extravagant wealth, extremes of pleasure, exhilaration, euphoria. What do you... is that extravagant wealth? Knowledge, magic, war, and death. First, let us discuss, considering quite an eclectic, is that the words? Is that what, esoteric? No, I think eclectic is the word. Strange combination of things. Don't seem like they go together. We'll discuss the bridge between death, destruction, war, and beauty, lust, love, fertility, these things. And that is individuality. Everything in our life is controlled and by dominance and power, authority. We get up every day and we cut our hair to the length that we're told, and we're comfortable with the things we're told to be comfortable with. The words that we speak, the curse words that we have to feel bad about, or at some point are the words of the inferior group, and the sophisticated, classy words are the ones that the elite, the people with authority, have that we feel good about. We eat what authority tells us to eat. We worship what authority tells us to worship. Often imaginary things like Freya that aren't real, but to show how powerful that we have to do anything authority tells us. We cannot say no, regardless of how much power we would have to do so. It makes no difference. We spend our life dressing, if in anything, in what authority wants us to dress in, and we move the way authority wants us to move, and we go to the places that authority wants us to go, and do things we don't want to do that authority tells us to do, around people we don't want to be around, that authority forces us, often authority itself, that authority forces us to be around, to produce, to learn what authority wants us to learn, and produce what authority wants us to produce. So authority has more authority over other people. In everything we learn, everything we do is all because of authority. They want more authority over other people. So thus, in a generation, knowledge is power. The intellectual revolution occurred really as a means of assisting, of perpetuating military imperialism. Otherwise, creationism would still have been taught in schools, and Neil deGrasse Tyson would never have had a career. Might have even been killed for being a nigger that can read. And we give authority what it wants. We always do what authority wants us to do, and in exchange we get to be treated as if we are a person that commands some amount of authority ourselves, that people have to treat us well to some degree, and that things won't go badly for us in some way we can't explain because of who we are, and we are part of that. We are rewarded a nice mate and a place to live, internal heating, food and water, and with what authority allows us to have, we turn on our entertainment sets, our luxury items, and we discuss and debate whether or not the people authority doesn't like should be treated better or be given more authority, and then we change the channel and we ogle authority figures, scantily clad, fighting their enemies with the sole pretext of establishing dominance, in stories where the perennial dictum is always that no matter what happens, no matter how it looks, even if it looks like authority loses, authority always wins. It will always turn out that it's better to be the elite, even when it doesn't make sense, even when authority has lost, somehow authority will win no matter what. Authority always wins no matter what. And then you turn that off and you go tuck in the people that authority has given you authority over with the sole pretext of inculcating, indoctrinating, dominating, forcing to obey authority on the behest of authority, so that long after you're dead, there will still be people obeying authority. And then you retire to your chambers and you kneel, you drop to your knees and you worship authority one last time before going to sleep and waking up and repeating the cycle all over again. Everything from the words we speak, what words we feel comfortable with, the way we say words is who has power over us. And the reason why that is the reason why you have social creatures to begin with is because, once again, power, destruction, death, that there are large creatures out there that if they find you, you cannot fight, you cannot run, you will die. We had to stick in groups for protection. And that is why you have groups and social society, what it means to be, let's say in the case of the, what do you call those, daddy long legs? I don't know what you call them. They might be arachnids, I'm not certain. But regardless of what they are, there are groups that exist for protection, but to be social, particularly. What does that mean? That is the result of what happens once these living things have to be in groups. What do? They immediately start preying on each other. They want to be able to do harm to one another. They need each other to avoid the harm of other people, and then to avoid the harm of each other, they respond by instantly getting rid of, treating something as if it's not true, and hating it if whoever is winning the fight between them, whoever wins the fight or is winning the fight between them, everyone instantly is crippled in fear of anything that would that they know that whoever has power wouldn't like. And now you have dominance, and this is the basis of civilization. This is everything in our world revolves around who has the power to force everyone else to kneel, to force everyone else to treat something as true or not true, or hate it or not hate it. And all of this authority comes from that. That is the only way we could survive the will of people to harm one another, that we all have this interest to know that we can harm and have power, thus to have power over other people. And we instantly avoid anything that provokes the people with power over us. Why is it that we all have this want to do harm to other people? Why do we want power over everyone else? Why? Overwhelmingly most people. Why? Because we all have genitals. We all want to mate. Everything revolves around our want to preserve our ability to spread our genes. If you look at creatures that do not mate, let's say an ant colony, most of them are sterile and they're all female. There's one queen, and the queen is the only one, if any, who is going to do things against other ants for themselves, to have individual power, to preserve, because this attitude preserves their own ability to reproduce. But the rest of them have no self-interest. Everything they do is to preserve the colony and to protect the queen. Our interests always center around survival, and then the survival of the species, what keeps living things going, keeps there being living things in general. Which is peculiar in my case, for due to authority, I am prohibited from having access to mating. I'm not allowed to mate because I'm considered to be the kind of person that is naturally inferior, natural-born inferiority, and that somehow it doesn't make sense, but it will go wrong if you treat me well and let me treat me fairly like other people. And thus no one will do it, and no one will admit to it. No one will allow the information that this is happening due to this want to have power over other people, and our group is people like me are selected. And this is why you have a lot of the basis of our aggression and our hatred centers around breeding, mating. And thus Freya being a goddess of death and war, And beauty, that is, those two things work together to do something. This mentions this here before an idol of Freya. Freya is also a goddess of death. I will speak a bit about death. It is difficult to tell. If you look in Scandinavian countries, it's hard to tell the age of, let's say, let's pick Sweden, Swadian. There are 40-year-old men that look like teenagers, and teenagers that look like 40-year-old men. Thus, what we call age is not inherently death, but we often consider it to be derived from that. But it's not necessarily. Someone could look very young and be very close to death from deterioration or decay of some kind. This was going up a hill while it was snowing not long ago, and this noticed that this had stamina I'd never had before. They say that things are most alive just before they die. I find it strange that now, much weaker, much older, I have more strength. I seem to do certain things easier, much easier. Curious. So, the red ring around the eyes, that red dark ring, as if near-death experiences cause something to break down. That's such as in the case of the Batman or nostalgia, that when certain things die and become dim, other things come into light. Or Scourge, the Asgardian Scourge. This says that the Malibru or some such thing, when death came for Scourge, in the darkness, those things with that have the greatest strength remain, and all the smaller details disappear. And even though those things are weaker, they are brought into focus and they have more effect on us. When certain things in us die and when we are weak, we can see things that have an effect on us that we could not before. We can experience things that we can be more affected by certain things, the things that are the strongest in us. And say that is where, that when death looked upon Scourge in the shadow of death, it saw the closest thing to a reflection to itself, and had the closest thing it could to a respect for mortal, that a mortal could reflect death where nothing else could. And that Bruce Wayne, his spirit dwindling, was able to bring into focus one of the stronger parts of the human spirit that release the strength that we all restrain, the dangerous strength, commitment of mind and body that could destroy us, could rend our flesh and cut asunder our mind. But he took that risk and found that strength, and it is what unleashed the potential of a person that we all have, that we restrain, that would allow us to attain the persona of something like the Batman, the death, the dying light, the darkness of the spirit. This would imagine like a soft, you close your eyes and you see a soft lightning, a very soft red lightning. The one who finds strength in the darkness is like the darkness. That is bad, but it's just bad enough that you can live through it, and then it gives you strength that it can't get worse than that. The devil's lightning, devil's king lightning sprite. And this redness around the eyes, as if that parts of you break down, you die, but you gain something out of it. And as the body is held together by this constant force, things break loose, they collect somewhere. And you get thinner. Everything in your body thins and becomes more transparent, and then collects around the eyes where they are most visible. And you get this red, dark, gray, greasy, broken heart refuse collected around the eyes. So I think of that when I see that. The devil's red king lightning. When I think of death, I think of meaning. I think of people wanting to feel that they are the type of people that everything will go well for, no matter what. That somehow, even if it looks bad, it doesn't make sense, it will turn out in your favor because you are natural born. You look at this world and you see that it's very different from you. It's barren. And you want to feel that this is a world that isn't merely you're here and that's it, that things can happen, maybe good, maybe bad, probably bad. No one ever says it's going to get real when something good is going to happen, that the nature of this world, the words too good to be true come to mind. I think of the movie Ghost, where at the end, Sam Wee is revealed, he gets one last moment with this woman, his mate in life, and then he goes to this paradise, this glowing place of eternal, I assume like the Judeo-Christian heaven, Himmel, and everything, you get a whole nother life and everything's great and they'll meet again and nothing's ever truly tragic. No matter what, life could never give you such a bad experience and leave it like that forever. It will get better. It is always better to have lived and lost than never lived at all. That nature would never make something that is bad and doesn't redeem itself or doesn't give you something to make it good. I was thinking of when Sephiroth said, "I will never be a memory." He was telling you that he had existential potency over Cloud, that he is the type of thing that is immortal. You die because of what you are. You die because it is bound to what you are to die, and it affects everything you are. I am not like that. When something good happens for you, you know that somehow it looks good, but it isn't. It would fall apart. Your nature will betray you. You will destroy everything that you care the most about. Everything will be destroyed. And it is better to have never had that thing and then know that not only will you destroy it, not only will it be destroyed, but it was doomed to be that way. It could never have been any other way because of who you are. Whereas Sephiroth or whoever, that when I have something good, it is stable. I know it is not too good to be true. It is good, and it is exactly good enough to be true because of what I am. I can support good things with who I am. You can't. And I think that's what people want. They want to live, they want to cover up the world of dirt and trees, a world of luster, and feel that they have escaped to a world with new fundamental rules where they're not affected by what was before. They're not being held down or confined to the world where it will always go wrong somehow because its nature is bad. That nothing could ever be too good to be true. That you could never find everything you want and be afraid of it and have to get rid of it and fear it from the fear of losing it. That you know you can keep it because you know the world supports this. The world creates this instead of creating a barren world of predators and nothing. A world of man's making where, regardless of what happens, the foundation supports a good outcome. So you know that you have something, that when you have something good, you know that you can hold on to it. You know that you can keep it. You know, legacy, that something will remain, that you can find something, create something that lasts so that you know you can hold on to it. And I think that people know that the nature of this world is not. May you cover it up with, you take the dirt and turn it into asphalt, you turn it into concrete, you turn the iron and the carbon into steel. You want to create this whole, you take the black goo out of the ground and turn it into all these polychromatic, take the cadmium sulfide, that red stuff on all the train seats, the red-orange stuff, it might be poisonous, all the train seats, and but then the buses are blue, regardless, and you try to cover it up. You painted titanium oxide the white. You paint everything. Try to make everything this feel different so that you can feel as if you've escaped the inevitability of what is bad. Something that lasts. Something that we want to feel that the world would never give us a discomfort that we couldn't get rid of, that we're not like this forever, permanently, that there is something beyond us that ensures that we can escape our torment, the torment of mortality in the mortal world. Though those words, too good to be true, come to mind. There is no heaven. There is no God. There are no gods. There is no fate. There is nothing piloting us or ensuring anything. There is only what can happen, and that's never very much. And we know this. Too good to be true. We know what is true. We know what this world is, and we know fundamentally what it does and what it's capable of, even if we don't know everything it will do. We know that it could never be that good because we know our lives are bad. You don't say... and I think that that's what we want. We arrive here in this awful place of brutality, death, pain, suffering, fear, and we want to have created something, even if it's something small, something that we know we made some change to this place, we fixed it in some way, we did something, that we created something good that's ours that now can't be taken away, that we know. That's what elite people like to do. They like to make you feel that you have nothing they can't take from you. Everyone else says it's true, then it's true. They can force you to, when everyone else does it and it's been going on for a long time, then you instantly see that there's nothing you can do, and you not only obey, but you give up anything that has to do with it as if it's not true, to know that there was nothing I could hold on to. I think that people want to create something or find something that's good that they can keep, and that this world will work with this world, that this world will support, that to find something in this world that isn't barren, that not just that it can be good, but it can maintain and support strongly that something will be good. Something that will always work out. That's what everyone wants. That somehow, even when it looks bad, even no matter what, not just that it can happen and it's constantly falling apart, could go away at any moment. You want something that is always good, and something that never betrays you, never falls apart. It will always be there. We want a goodness that will last. But I don't think we'll ever create that. I think all we'll ever do is just, maybe, if you're lucky, make something that's it's good enough. Not even good enough, just good. Maybe get bored of it quickly, have to do something else, always be covering it up, doing something else. But you'll never find something in this world that is satisfying, that gives you everything you wanted. I don't think that anything, this world will ever be such that nothing could be too good to be true. That what you want won't be too good to be true. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll find something good, but it will always be too good. Too good will always be the nature of this world. We want to find something that is good. We want to find a way we can live. We want to find some natural born part of the world that is good, so that we know it will last and we can keep it. That will remain part of us, and it will remain here forever, so that we know that we feel security in it, that it is part of the world, and it is good, and all these things we're doing. In your final hours, and what will I see, what will you see? And I was often mistreated, ostracized for not being like everyone else, or not agreeing with what everyone else said was true. And I was always, and I often think of video games, or that hell level from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. I think of Rock Bottom from SpongeBob Bikini Bottom. I think of that. These things come to mind. And maybe other people have memories of more powerful experiences that they were allowed to have, that they had and they felt good about, because they could take it away from me and have power over people like me. Regardless, in the end, does it really matter? Are we all equal in the end? Are we all dying pieces of meat? Will it really have mattered, any of this? And that's how, in the end, all of this, have to feel bad about all this, all for it to not matter anyway. For it all to be taken away, and it makes no difference. I mean, you don't want to live badly, you don't want to be in pain, you don't want to feel bad, you don't want to be mistreated, you don't want to have to go through things, but I suppose in the end, at least, does any of it matter? Is there any part of it? Is there any reason why you shouldn't blow your own brains out right now? Is there... I think it's mostly fear of death that keeps us alive, but really, we're sort of forced to be here, and if we must be here, we'll then try to make it the best that we can. But if we weren't forced to be here, would it matter then? Would it? Does it matter? If it doesn't, if there isn't any meaning, if there isn't anything that you can hold on to that satisfies, that makes this okay, if you can't ever find that thing, if we're really always, as Blade said, always trying to ice skate uphill, that's really what we're doing. If we're always going to be worked against and nothing's ever going to be good enough, and then everything we did in life, it wouldn't even matter. That once again, that our lives themselves is one of those things that life is too good to be true, that life is so, that the nature of the universe is so very much unlike what we are, but it created us, that there's not very much supporting our existence. Therefore, our very existence is too good to be true. We should destroy this just to avoid whatever problem that must come of something that is not supported. Is it better to have lived and lost than never lived at all? Does the universe support our existence enough to give us anything in our lives good enough to redeem, to make our time here worthwhile? Or are we forced here by fear and try to make the best of it because we're too coward to end it all? I think that fear keeps us here. We would kill ourselves if we could. But given that we're forced to be here, I would prefer to not be in pain or anything bad. I would prefer to have good things in my life. And I think that's it. And I think we're forced to be here and we try to make the best of it, but nothing in this world is ever going to be supported enough by the cosmos that it could be good enough, that it could